Yeah, so it's interesting. I have to give kudos to my dear friend, Dr. Rebecca Hubbard in Chicago, Illinois. She's a psychologist in private practice. We were in graduate school together. And sort of the frame for this book started as a class project. We were taking community psychology, and one of the assignments was to essentially create, hey, Michelle, one of the assignments was essentially to create an intervention for a community organization. And I'm a church baby. And so my orientation has always really been about, from very early on, figuring out a way to be the bridge between the mental health community and the faith community. I watched my dad, and many of you have probably heard this story, but I watched my dad essentially burn out and get really depressed. And even though he got treatment and kind of got what he needed, it was clear to me that we weren't really talking about what was going on. Like we didn't have the language to say, this is what depression looks like, or how can you have, and the personal struggle for me was like, okay, I know this person loves God with his whole entire heart and soul. How can he be the one who ends up getting depressed? Like how do those things fit? And so from very early on, it was clear to me that once I realized I wanted to be a mental health professional, that the people who I was called to serve were the church folks. So I'm in graduate school, I'm in this community psychology class, and I'm like, okay, what if I can develop like a Bible study on mental health for a church? Just as a class project. And the cool thing about it was Rebecca and I actually had the opportunity to present it as a Bible study at the church we were attending at the time, Anointed New Life Baptist Church, Pastor C. Diane Mosby here in Richmond. And so both of us were attending that church at the time. And she gave us 6 weeks of Bible study to teach this curriculum on, really, at the time it was really just about awareness of healthy relationships and like what people need to be okay. And Rebecca and I were kind of talking about the project, and she looks at me and she says, "You're going to publish this, right?" And I'm like, no, it's just a Bible study. It's just a class project. It's no big deal. And so, the story of Rebecca and I's history is that I'm downplaying something that I'm doing. And she's like, Jess, no, this is good. This is a big deal. Right. And so she kind of planted that seed 10 years ago now. And the curriculum is something that since that time, I've taught at countless churches. I have been, kind of praying over it and reorganizing it and shifting the pieces and changing the labels of the different pieces of the acronym. And finally, about maybe year and a half ago now, I said, okay, it's time. So the interesting thing is that because I've been teaching and working with this for so long, that when it came time to sit down and write the book, that was in some ways the easy part, because I've been doing the work for 10 years. And it was really just an opportunity to write down, all my soapbox speeches from classes that my students have heard, all the times I've gone on a tangent about something about the way the church can respond to mental health, right? And so it was a chance to really organize that and connect it to biblical truth in a way that was really accessible, or at least I hope it's accessible to people.